one of our Ambazonian artists there, and we shall be coming to her. We hope she will have to conclude our show today. Like I said, this is Sigan Ambazonia. Our main topic of discussion today is the phrase, the Cameroon Republic can never defeat Ambazonia. And we shall give you points to let you know, despite the fact that they thought they can declare the war on us, when it is difficult for them to win the war or to end the war, they send their minister, the colonial minister, colonial territorial minister Atangaji, to declare the dictator has won the war. It was as if the war is playing magic. The way he said it, it was like using a magic wand to wave so that the war can end. But we know that is not what is happening, because as Ambazonians we believe this war is just starting and we are still getting into the game, because for the past 4 years we have been defending ourselves, but today, starting now, we are about to go on the offensive, and that is when we expect the Cameroon Republic to play the game they feel it has been their game since they thought that Ambazonians were never ready. Ambazonians would not know what to do. Ambazonians would not have fighters or people to sponsor them to defend themselves, and they will crush them and defeat them in war. In their confusion, their colonial master came out to say they have won the war. We wish them luck for that. But let us look at what brought us here. It is what this program calls council culture. From our joining the Cameroon Republic in 1961, we saw them embarked on a systematic counseling of our culture. Our institutions were brought down. They dissolved our government, the government we had before joining them. They reduced our leaders like Foncha and ST Mona into puppets, people they can control. When we came to the union, we brought a lot of businesses like the Kilo business, the Nanga, they dissolved and they destroyed everything. Our way of life, they took it away from us and introduced the Francophone way of life. Our culture, if you look at our culture, they have continued with the systematic destruction of our culture. And the recent happenings, what happened on December 6th during the so-called regional election was an example of council culture. Before I continue, let me give a shout out here to Adako, Aquare, we have Talia, Adin, Church Hill, we have Water Chair, MZYZ, you are all there. We have Ndang Fube. Please you share and invite others. Remember, Sigan Bui every weekend. It is always very entertaining, very educative, and we do this in order to move our revolution ahead. We are doing very well in terms of defending ourselves and making our point. You can see the new administration in the United States of America is at it, and they are calling the situation in the southern Cameroons. Yeah, before that I was talking about council culture. What brought us here? It is because of the systematic destruction of our culture that made us Ambazonians stand for ourselves. Our means of communication. The Cameroon Republic said you don't have to be talking like Anglo-Saxon. You should be talking as Francophones. Our way of social justice and justice, our system of education, and our way of being just us. They said no, you don't have to be yourself. You have to be Francophones. And that brought us. We have seen this systematic cultural cancellation came out to December 6, where they brought the mighty His Royal Highness, the Fond of Saul. Look at what happened. Look at what they have done to a great king like the Fond of Saul. That is the continuation of cancel culture. And tell me, if they treat our people like that, why will we not be angry with them? Why will we not stand up for ourselves? We have to, because the most degrading thing you can do to a person is to let him know that he cannot be himself. He can only be what you want. It is time for us to step up our game and not go against the La Republic remnants in our territory. We have been preaching the idea of going offensive, and as we are now masters of our game in the guerrilla tactics, we should be looking at those administrators, the SDOs, the senior divisional officers, La Republic administrative officials, those who are Ambazonians and still representing the Cameroon Republic in our territory are not with us and not for us. And this is the time for us to go after them, because if we target them, their military seems to have been outstretched. They are confused. They don't know what to do. They thought they had this game in their hand, but for this war to have taken up to 5 years, they cannot come to terms with what is going on with them. So if we step up our game now and go offensive against the Cameroon Republic remnants, their deals, their SDOs, their administrative officials, their representatives in Ambazonia, if we go after these people now, it will be the last dish to send them away out of our territory. Look at what the Colonial Divisional delegate for Boy County is doing. This man, our intelligence did not get his picture, but his name, we got his name as Bayon Ezekiel Ndifo. Bayon Ezekiel Ndifo has sent out the colonial administrative letters to principals of schools in Kumbo LGA, inviting them. First of all, that letter, that service notice was sent out as a threat and then as an invitation to plan for the so-called 11th of February celebrations in Ambazonia. We all know that any La Republic activities, be it what has been banned in Ambazonia, and we want to tell this Colonial Divisional delegate, he called himself Bayon Ezekiel Ndifo. We know you in person, we know your plan, and we want to tell you that we are not going to know where and when that meeting will take place. Let me read the service notes. The service notice. He started addressing it to all principals in Kumbu LGA. And this too should be noticed to our restoration forces in Kumbu. He addressed it to the principal saying, many of you dishonored the SDO's invitation to a meeting today. It was such a blatant disrespect for authority that was demonstrated, which is a clear misrepresentation of who we are and what we stand for. That attitude, which attracted a lot of interpretation, should be deployed with our last energy. I, however, have the honor to summon each of you principals in Kumbu subdivision, that's Kumbu LGA, to an important meeting which I shall personally preside over with the SDO for Kumbu Central. The day of this meeting is Wednesday, the 3rd of February 2021, and the time for this meeting is 8:30 a.m. Ambazonian time. The place of this meeting is at the Divisional Delegation of Secondary Education in Kumbu. Let me take that over again, and our restoration forces should know. We know where this place is, we know the time, and we know the place. Wednesday, the 3rd of February 2021 at 8:30 a.m. Amber time at the Divisional Delegation of Secondary Education in Bui County, Kumbu LGA. He sends a warning notice, or he attached a warning notice to this. Absenteeism shall not be tolerated. Do all to be there in person and on time. On the agenda, he had the 11th of February 2021 preparations. On the agenda, he had the agenda as the 11th of February 2021 preparation. Then he wants the principals again. Any absentee will be considered as thus promoting school boycott and thus encouraging the boycott of the 2021 11th February celebrations in Ambazonia. I know some people might think, why are we talking about this so-called 11th February celebrations in Ambazonia when it is already dead and buried? Our people have not been celebrating it. Our people have not been commemorating it. Our people have never observed it for the past 4 years. We have to talk about it because the enemy is not asleep. The enemy is not forgetful. The enemy thinks that, the Cameroon Republic thinks that as time goes on, we shall be ready and we shall give up. We have to be on top of the game too and be resilient and resistant as they are. Look at this war since it started. The Cameroon Republic, though suffering a lot of defeat in the field, has never ever said that they are not, they have never ever said that they are not winning. They have always let themselves know, let the international community know that they are on top of this game. So if at any time of the year, any La Republique celebration is coming and they want to carry it out in Ambazonia, we have to come out and talk about it. If we don't talk about this meeting that is going to take place in Kumbu LGA, they will go ahead and hold a meeting and maybe look for a place and observe this colonial celebration in our territory. This is not only to Kumbu LGA, it is also going to all other LGAs in Ambazonia, because we think that is what all of them are doing. The colonial master cannot forget the tools he has used to colonize the colons. That's it. We hope our restoration forces, the Bulgarians, have taken note of that. We hope our restoration forces in the whole of Ambazonia have taken note of that the colonial master, through her agents in our territory, is still planning to celebrate this outlawed event in Ambazonia. Now let us look at our case that keeps getting better and better as the new administration takes over power in the United States of America. It has been 1 week since it has been more than 1 week since the new administration was sworn in to take over the White House, and every of their secretary confirmations, every of their confirmation hearings, they have come out to talk about Africa, and they have gone at length to talk about the southern Cameroons. When we look at their interests, the interests they have in Africa, in African countries, we know that Ambazonia is in their agenda. Last week in this program, we brought to you the confirmation hearing of the United States Secretary of State. He has been confirmed Secretary of State Tony Blinken. He has already taken command of his department, and we hope that as Ambazonians, especially those who are in the United States of America, those who are on Twitter, should follow him and let him know that he has to match action to his words, because during his confirmation hearing he did say that he will have to take a good look at the case of the southern Cameroon, the case where the majority Cameroon Republic have used their military might to go into Ambazonia to kill our unarmed civilians, where our brave boys and girls have come out to stand to defend our people. This time around, it was the case of Linda Thomas Blinken. I will bring her there, and I will say that towards the end of this show today, I will play that 6-minute confirmation hearing. I ask of all of you, our viewers, to follow that up and listen to what she says about Africa, her interest in Africa. On the image that is Senator Chris Coon of Delaware. That is the senator too, when she was questioning Tony Blinken. He said that he has a special interest in Africa. So when we look and when we shall listen to Linda Thomas Greenfield, we will want to listen to her point of view on the genocide that is going on in China against the Uyghur Muslims. We were taken aback when the last administration led under the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo designated this action by the Chinese towards the Uyghur Muslims in China as genocide. Meanwhile, there has been a lot of mass killings in Ambazonia and nobody cared about that. Talking about Thomas Greenfield, she had once served as the Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs between 2020 and 2017, and she was almost a victim during the Rwanda genocide in 1994. She's an author and she has written a book concerning genocide. So she too should be our target as we try to let the new administration in the White House do something about our case in the southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. She has had a good career and a better part of her career has been in Africa. So when we eventually played the video that she was being the video during her confirmation hearing, you will hear how she talks a lot about Africa. We bring this because this is the second person in the Biden administration in the White House that is talking very much about Africa. And when they are talking about Africa, they are talking about containing the Chinese in Africa. You remember, if you look at the war in Ambazonia, what the Cameroon Republic is using today as ammo cars from China. So that is Chinese influence in the Cameroon Republic, which the Americans are now saying that it is no longer the American first policy which was under the old leadership, but this new leadership says America is back and America has to contain Chinese influence in Africa. We know that Ambazonia is one or a few countries in Africa where the Chinese have not made any influence, and America being in Ambazonia will help check the Chinese influence or the Chinese role in Africa. The United States and this present government hope to contain and to check the Chinese takeover of Africa, and we say that if they do that by stepping in Ambazonia, that will be a good start, because if Ambazonia becomes or actualize their freedom with American support, it will serve as a limelight to the entire African continent. That said, let us look at the draft or the award 2021. If we get it right in 2020, we are calling on the planners of the award 2021 to know that they have to capitalize on the successes of the 2020 draft. They have to correct the mistakes and errors that we made in 2020. One of these errors I can call is the fact that 2 counties were drafted in one weekend. We had a county drafted in on a Saturday and another county draft it on a Sunday. We have to correct mistakes like that. We are calling on the planners of the 2021 draft to know that having strong institutions, having leaders, not rulers, in LGAs and in counties is a good way of having a good draft in 2021. And these leaders should be respecting and fully implementing the APP plan, the Amber Peace plan, because it is very robust, and those who have read it, if it is put into practice the way it is supposed to be, our revolution will be smooth and faster. We are calling on those who are planning for draft 2021 to know that there has to be drafting before the federal draft. What do we mean here? We mean that the LGAs have to draft, the counties have to draft, and then the federal draft will just come to put on the finishing touches. Drafting before the federal draft will make it easy. And we want to again say that if we are drafting before the federal draft, we should make sure we draft genuine and serious draftees. Genuine and serious draftees are people who are willing to pledge and pay their draft money in time. I am not saying on time, I'm saying in time. They draft and pledge and pay their draft money before the end of the given draft period. Those are the people we call genuine draftees. Now, let us look at draft 2020. If we got it right, we had around or more than 2,400 Ambazonians who drafted. If in practical, in 2021, we can have 1,200 genuine draftees, 1,200 serious drafters, people who will draft, pledge, and pay their money in time. We collect these pledges in time, not on time. This will go a long way to fasten or to shorten this war, and the pain we are feeling, what is going on in our territory, will be reduced because we have determined and ready boys and girls who've pledged to give, to die, so that we can have our land, so that we can have our territory. The draft period for 2021 should be shorter. When it is shorter, it makes planning easy. The draft period for 2021, as it is shorter, should be on target. We go in for those who can draft, those who can pledge, and those who can pay, and those who can put that money into the coffers of the LGAs, because this draft is hope. It is hope for our restoration forces. This draft is hope. It is hope for the population of Ambazonia. Our people don't want to be, our people don't love to be going under fire every day. Our people don't want to be crying every day from being killed. Our people don't want to be arrested, to be molested to be traumatized every day as it is going. If we shorten our draft period, we have genuine and serious draftees, people who can draft and pay their money in time. It will give that hope. And to the people and to Ambazonians who are in the diaspora, there will be hope for our diasporans, because the diaspora will have a home to return to. The diaspora will have land to be called theirs. You will not be hesitant again to let your friend know that you are not from the Cameroon Republic, but you will happily tell anybody who asks you where you are from that you are from Ambazonia. That is what we say, draft and pay your money, because draft is hope for our people. When we talk about drafting, pledging and paying your draft, we want to talk about the people who want to sabotage every effort Ambazonians are making to see to it that this war is shortened and this revolution comes to fruition. Those people who think that they are revolutionary correct, that if an idea doesn't come from them, then it is wrong. That if an action is not carried out by them, then it is wrong. Those who feel that if they have any information, they will leak it out. They will send it out. Those who feel that they want to be the first people to break adverse information, please, that is not helping our people. If you think you are fighting me in social media, if you think you are fighting Chris Ano in social media, or you are fighting any other Ambazonia in social media, you have to ask yourself, this thing I'm doing, how is this taking the revolution ahead? If you think you are putting something out there, that you are leaking something out there, you have to ask yourself, how is this thing helping our revolution? And we call on those activists, those who feel that they can only make a point by adversely criticizing those who have made a point. That is not helping our revolution. And there is no difference between you and an enabler or a blackleg on ground zero who is moving around and pointing our revolution, our restoration forces to the Cameroon Republic to be killed. Think of it this way. It has been 4 years. The Cameroon Republic cannot claim victory, even though the colonial minister of territorial administration came out and said they have won the war. In effect, they cannot claim victory, because if you look at the way they still go to Ambazonia, if you look at the way they still carry out activities in Ambazonia, they do that under heavy military guides. If they say they have won the war, let them move freely in Ambazonia. If they say they have won the war, let them come out and carry out business as before 2016. The Cameroon Republic cannot get things back to normal in Ambazonia. They cannot stop us Ambazonians to continue to have our ghost towns, or they cannot stop our lockdowns when we call for them. So if you are doing anything against any action by the interim government always ask yourself, how is this helping the revolution? Why not go your own direction? Why should you come out to contradict or to call an adverse action against an action that the interim government or any group has taken? That is not Ambazonians. Because when you're doing that, think of our suffering people. Think of our hungry people. Think of our refugees. Think of our people in prisons. And I don't know, but they still have followers. We know it is a free world, that you have to follow or listen to anybody you want. But if you feel that somebody is saying something like what I'm saying now, ask yourself, how is this helping the revolution? I know I have made up a point of duty that each time I come out to say something on this show and in this program, I will first of all ask myself, how is this moving this revolution one step to the finish line? If the answer is not moving it towards the finish line, I don't say it here. That's why I practice never carrying out personal vendettas against any Ambazonians, and I don't encourage that or encourage this on my platform here. The Cameroon Republic for 4 years cannot go about what they have been doing before 2016, and we still have Ambazonians investing in the Cameroon Republic. We still have Ambazonians putting up buildings in the Cameroon Republic. We still have Ambazonians buying land in the Cameroon Republic. The time of reckoning is coming, and when that time comes, when they shall be Ambazonia and they shall be the Cameroon Republic, that is when you will know that you were making a bad investment. That is when you will know that building a house in the Cameroon Republic was a mistake. That is when you will know that buying that land in the Cameroon Republic was a mistake. And for you enablers and blacklegs and those who are not supporting this war at this time, that is when you will know that not supporting the Ambazonian cause was a mistake. You will not say that you were not told. I have been singing this every time we have this show. I will want to tell you that those investments you are making in the Cameroon Republic, that building you are putting up in the Cameroon Republic, that land you are buying in the Cameroon Republic, and not supporting or being neutral about this war and this revolution is a grave mistake you are making. I have told you several times. Now let us go to why the Cameroon Republic can never win this war. I am using the word can because this war, from the look of things, Ambazonians are on top of the game now. We need to put a few corrections in place, make a few changes, and it will be time to chase the Cameroon Republic out of our territory. Remember, we just completed draft 2021. It is not yet closed because in some LGS and in some counties the draft is still open, And the federal government is still to come out officially to close the drought period 2020. So, if we put those finishing touches, if we make those few changes, it will be time for us to chase the Cameroon Republic out of our territory. And we are going to chase them out, because for the past 4 years, we have been defending ourselves. And we now make up our mind to go on the offensive. Let those places where the Cameroon Republic have established mobile camps, let them not be there. Let those DOs and SDOs and colonial administrative officials who have been sneaking in and out in our territory, let them not have that privilege of moving around in our territory again. Let the Cameroon Republic military not have that privilege of moving their convoy from one LGA to another LGA, from one county to another county. And let me put this out there. You see, in their process of council culture, the Cameroon Republic centralized the production and distribution of electricity to their hydroelectricity plant in Edia. What am I saying here? I am saying that electricity in all of Ambazonia comes from Edia in La République du Cameroun. Should we continue to use their electricity? What happens if we take up action at Santa? Will the whole of the northern zone not go dark, so that we know that we are not enjoying products from the Cameroon Republic? What happens along the Tico Douala Road if 1 or 2 poles go down? The whole of the southern zone will go dark, and we will not be enjoying the product of the Cameroon Republic in Ambazonia. You see, if you say no to somebody, it is also okay to say no to the product that that person is giving you. Ambazonia should go dark. The Cameroon Republic can never win this war against Ambazonia. They can never win this war because our cause is justifiable. If you look at Resolution 1608, we always come to that. It is giving us a winnable case. Our cause is justified. Our people have been able to go through ghost town for 4 or 5 years. We have been able to come up with leaders, especially at the helm of the interim government, calm, focused, resolute leaders. Any events that have happened adversely, especially in 2020, has been on the advantage of the Ambazonian War and the Ambazonian Revolution. Look at COVID-19. Coronavirus has put many countries, great countries like the United States of America and Great Britain, on their knees. But to us Ambazonians, because our cause is justified, we had the Zoom meetings. Think of it this way: if there were no Zoom meetings, and we still had a situation where our president needs to go out physically to raise money, the revolution would have been dead, the war would have ended, because there will be no means of raising money and sponsoring this war. But because God is on our side, because our cause is just, the coronavirus set in. The Zoom meetings took precedent. Ambazonia took advantage of that, and we are able to connect Ambazonians all over the world on one screen and talk Ambazonian war and Ambazonian revolution. The drafts that the interim government had as a plan was put in. Ambazonians responded to it, and we raised and created a budget for our war. Then we build an army. This has been a blessing for us. So if the Cameroon Republic thinks they can win Ambazonia in this war, we are here today to tell them that they can never win this war. They can never win this war, because everything natural is working for Ambazonia and working against the Cameroon Republic. This war has been going on for 4 years. The Cameroon Republic has been fighting Ambazonian for 4 years. This is hard to say, to listen to, and to hear it spoken, because they never thought we could withstand them for a week or for a month, not to talk of years. They knew that we were not ready for war, that we cannot fight them. They, in their programs of recruiting into their armies and in their police, had practiced cancel culture, where a few Ambazonians that they recruit into their army and into their police, they send them to be dissolved, or they send them into francophone areas, and then they send a lot of francophones into Ambazonia. To preach what they had planned, cancel culture. But to their greatest surprise, we came out to defend ourselves with support from our people and the diaspora, and we are able to maintain this war for 5 years today, which is to say, after 4 years of self-defense, it is time for Ambazonia to go on the offensive. If we can defend ourselves for 4 years, then we can also go on the offensive after 4 years. We can target them when they are on the move. We can target them where they are living. We can set up traps and lure them into it. That is what we mean by going offensive. We are not saying that there should be a face-to-face battle with the Cameroon Republic soldiers. No, it is using our guerrilla tactics and using it to our advantage. The war is in our territory. We know and master the terrain. So why should visitors, why should the Cameroon Republic come into our territory and know the hills and the valleys better than us? Why should the Cameroon Republic come into our territory and use heavy machinery to cross those bridges? Look, when this war started, mobility was impossible for the Cameroon Republic. It is not late again to go back to those things. push stones on the road, fell down trees, dig trenches, and then you know what to do. Set the trap there. The popcorn, the mayonnaise, the lifances. We have these things now. If we go on the offensive, if we go back to digging trenches, to putting down those bridges, to felling trees, to pushing stones on the roads, and then booby trapping them, that will be a way to send them out of our territory. The Cameroon Republic can never win or defeat Ambazonia in this war because history is on our side. No country has ever won any guerrilla warfare. Cameroon cannot be the first country to break that precedent. First of all, they are not as sophisticated as countries like America have been, they are not as sophisticated as the United States of America. Yet the Americans could not defeat the Vietnamese. The Cameroon Republic has no support, no international support for this war they are carrying out in Ambazonia. France has talked with the Cameroon Republic because France cannot do without the Cameroon Republic. Apart from that, any country, any institution in the world, there is none that is supporting the Cameroon Republic. The Chinese tried, thinking that it was going to be a short war, but it has gone out of hands. This is 5 years, and we Ambazonians, we put a longer timeline on this war. We are ready, and we are willing to fight, even if it's going to take us 1,000 years. History on our side. We were once a country of our own. Many countries in the world know this. The United States of America know this. The United Kingdom knows this. Even France herself and the Cameroon Republic, they know that we were a country of our own. The Cameroon Republic, in their cancel culture attitude, knows that for 58 years it has not worked. And now they want to use force to colonize us. But today in this show and on this program we are saying the Cameroon Republic can never defeat Ambazonia in this war. For 58 years our people have never ever have a feeling of belonging to the Cameroon Republic. First, they did not want us to maintain our own culture. They wanted to cancel our culture. They wanted us to speak French and do things like Francophone. We never ever had any treaty of union with these people. They took our businesses out, destroyed all what we brought into the union. But still, Ambazonia still stood the test of time until they declared war on us, thinking that that was the last thing they have to do to crush us. But this is 4 years. 4 years behind us, 5 years into it, and we are still standing strong. Ambazonians are divided in approach, but are firmly united in purpose and outcome. This is the point of what I've said before, where some activists or some other groups, instead of saying their own things, or instead of carrying out their own action, they come out to condemn others that are carrying out their own action. That is divided approach. But we are firm and united in purpose and in outcome, which is actualizing the state of Ambazonia, actualizing the nation of Ambazonia. With this determination by all Ambazonians, though seem divided in approach, the Cameroon Republic can never defeat us. If they can be able to divide our purpose and the outcome, then we can start saying maybe. But since they cannot divide us in purpose and in outcome, they can never defeat us in this war. The Cameroon Republic soldiers were told the war is going to be short-lived. They were told in 2-3 months this will be done and everything will be over. But look at it today, 4 years behind, 5 years into. These soldiers have been demoralized. You know, like something you expect that will be very short and then it takes longer than expected. You are demoralized. It is the same thing with soldiers. They are demoralized. The war has taken longer than expected. In this war, they have seen their dead colleagues, their fellow soldiers falling and dying, their fellow soldiers being killed. That has brought down or brought low their morale to fight in this war. They have seen their colleagues wounded, wailing, crying. Many of them have deserted their troops. The Cameroon Republic has lost a lot of soldiers running away from the war. Many of them are traumatized. Some of them have not been paid for months. Their allowances have not been paid. And they know that the economic sabotage carried by Ambazonia is very effective. No country in the world is loaning them money again. That is why each time they get a grant from, say, France or China, which is never in any physical cash, they want to come to social media to let us know that they are having help. These Cameroon soldiers, most of them stay long in the war front before they are relieved. You know, to keep the morale of the soldiers. Every 3 months you have to switch them and replace them with fresh soldiers. But this is not happening in the Cameroon Republic because most of these soldiers are staying in the war front from 6 months to 1 year without being relieved. That is killing their morale. And with that, they cannot defeat Ambazonia in this war. Ambazonians have proven that they are resilient, they are resistant, and they are determined. Ambazonians, whether they are soldiers or civilians, Ambazonians in the diaspora, they have all proven that they cannot give up. They cannot let the Cameroon Republic claim victory. And that is why we have kept this war on for 4 years. And this time around we are bringing the Cameroon Republic to their knees by going offensive. Ambazonia has control of the war now, as we can see from the past week's activities, where the football games that were organized in Victoria saw our boys, our restoration forces, able to make moves in Victoria, despite the heavy presence of the Cameroon Republic military there. Only the actions we were able to carry out in Fako County tells you that we are up to the game and we can change the trajectory of this war. We can change the dictates of this war now. We have the budget, if it is well put into use. We have the determined restoration forces, if we are able to direct them very well. And we have leadership, if they can keep their head calm. We will change the trajectory of this war. The Cameroon Republic can never defeat us, Ambazonia, in this war. The thought of their numbers, the thought of their capabilities, the thought of their superiority as a country failed them, and they resorted to the mind games. The mind game too has failed them, because everything they have done, whether it is their colonial ministers saying the war has ended, whether it is brandishing some of their soldiers that they are our restoration forces who have surrendered and they have come to the DDR centers, whether it is bringing personalities or organizing games in Ambazonia, their mind games have failed them. And some people who look at this war keenly knows that, or says that, the Cameroon Republic is confused on what to do next. They don't know what to do. They thought the war with Ambazonia was to be short-lived. They never knew it was going to be this long and this complicated. They never knew Ambazonia will have fighters, determined fighters. They never knew we can build an army to defend our people, to defend themselves, and to defend our territory. All what they never expected we can do as a people, we have done it. And to their greatest surprise, we have even come up to a stage where we have our own weapons of choice. We produce our mayonnaise, our popcorns, and our defenses to defend ourselves. Very complicated. Now let us look at this advice that we prepared for Ambazonians. You see, the recent killings of young boys in Bamenda, the recent killings of our civilian population in Mautu were preceded by the mass killings that the Cameroon Republic carried in our territory. Let me see where that is. Yeah, the mass killings the Cameroon Republic carried in our territory. If we go by the numbers and the places, By Bakondo, 27 Ambazonians were killed. Bombay Bakondo, 28 Ambazonians were killed. Mauto 1, 10 people were killed. Monya, 15 people were killed. Ekona, 17 people were killed. Way, 15 people were killed. Boya Town, 10 people were killed. Bakweli Town, still in Boya, 6 people killed. Mauto 2, 18 people killed. When you look at these recent killings, you tell yourself, our people seem to have forgotten the advice we've been giving, the advice many Ambazonians have been giving to them. And I went into our archives and brought this out. It can help. We don't want our young people to be killed like that. None of us should feel because our restoration forces are very tactful now. You can just move around when you see the Cameroon Republic soldiers coming. They are still on their game. They are even still surprised that there are still a lot of Ambazonians out there. Don't feel that if you are not fighting with the restoration forces, if you don't look like a restoration forces, if you don't think like the restoration forces, the Cameroon Republic soldier will not kill you. They have a plan, and this plan is to extinct Ambazonia, and then they take over our land. Listen, the Cameroon Republic can never be friends with any Ambazonia. And for those who are watching with us, please, this needs to be shared because Ambazonians seem to have relaxed in the advice, with the advice they had at first. We start by talking to our restoration forces. Our restoration forces should know that under no circumstances should we have pitched battles or stand up with French Cameroon soldiers. This is very, very unproductive. We can't carry out face-to-face combat with the Cameroon Republic soldiers. It is not our thing. The Cameroon Republic can easily replace her soldiers lost in battles from their high reservoir of unemployed and frustrated youths. You know they have a lot of them there. Our restoration forces, our thing is guerrilla tactics. Be highly calculative as you fight this war. You should always have it in mind that this is an existential war, and it is a war that we must win as we are winning. You have no point whatsoever to prove to anyone that you are strong, but rather it is the Cameroon Republic's soldiers that have everything to prove, because they feel they have the majority, because they feel they are a standard army, because they feel they have the sophisticated weapons. They are the ones that have something to prove. So as for us, Ambazonians and our restoration forces, we have to plan our battles tactically. Remember, Don't be reluctant to request for support from any fellow fighter group in case of shortage of personnel or materials. Don't hesitate to use any RPGs if you have any, to use any hand grenade if you have any on any convoy. The manias, the popcorn, the lifances have become our weapon of choice. Use them each time you have an opportunity, because it will help to stop the Cameroon Republic on their tracks. Use them because it will help to protect our people, our population. Use them because it will help to stop the Cameroon Republic from going to that village, from going to that LGA, from going to that county to kill our people. Many people have wondered why up to today the Cameroon Republic is still able to move from one LGA to another, to move from one county to another, to move from one town to another to kill. For instance, for those who know Mautu, how did the Cameroon Republic pass through Moyoka to go up to Mautu? That has to stop. Restoration forces. Any armor car personnel carrier we destroy sets the Cameroon Republic back in course to pay to persecute the war, because those armor car, they borrow them from I think the Chinese. Yeah, they borrow them from the Chinese. If we destroy one, whether we pop the popcorn and they capsize in an accident, whether we hit onto target, it will set them back in cost and personnel to persecute this war. Don't hesitate to use your weapon of choice. Now to Ambazonian civilians. To our civilian population, there is no friendliness with the Cameroon Republic. We are not saying that when you see them you run, but do everything to avoid them. Do everything not to meet with them, because they will not spare you when they meet you. Look at the case of those children in Bamenda. We are told they were pleading for their lives, but they were not paid. And that is what is happening. Look at what happened in Mautu. They went there and they killed, they were shooting randomly and killing children, pregnant women. That is the Cameroon Republic. Every village, every town should have people at the entrance of the town or the village to signal when these barbaric La Republic soldiers are coming. Ambazonians, your ultimate duty or task is to protect yourself and your communities. If you want to say how do you protect yourself and your community, be on the alert all the time. Communicate with one another, have a means of communication, that when they see the Cameroon Republic coming, they send a signal to everybody in the village, everybody in the town, to let them know that it is time to run. Ambazonian civilians, listen carefully. This war we are fighting, this revolution we are in, is a journey of no return. We cannot afford to lose this war. Even in our dreams, we cannot afford to wave the white flag. Yes, in our dreams, We cannot. This is an existential war. This war determines whether we live as Ambazonians, whether we remain as Ambazonians. So no matter how many people die, this war will not be halted by us. This war will not be ended by us until we get the intended results. And the intended result is actualize Ambazonia and get our government into Buea. Send the Cameroon Republic out of our territory. That is the intended result. That in mind, we then have the responsibility as a civilian population to protect ourselves, to be on the high alert all the times, whether we are sleeping, whether we are awake, whatever thing we are doing, we have to be on the high alert all the time. Now, to our young people, especially the male Ambazonians, those of you who are 10 years and older, we have sung this several times and I'll still repeat it. Those Ambazonians, especially the male who are 10 years and older, you are the target of the French Cameroon soldiers. Don't feel exempted. Those of you who are 18 and older, like those young boys in Bamenda who were killed last week. If you are not in support of our cause, if you are not for this war, if you are not in support of the Ambazonian war and the Ambazonian revolution, if you are not fighting with us and you are still in the territory of Ambazonia, consider your days numbered. Look at the mass killings I mentioned. In Bai Bakondu, 27 people were killed. They were people your age. In Bombay Bakondu, 28 people were killed. They were people your age. During the Mautu 1 killings, 10 people were killed. They were people your age. In Monya, 15 young boys were killed. They were people your age. So if you are 18 years old and you are not fighting with us and you are not in support of the Ambazonian war and the Ambazonian revolution, your days are numbered in that territory because they will kill you. If you followed up the events that led to the death of those boys, those 4 boys in Bamenda, they were pleading for their lives, but they were still killed. They were still killed like those 10 people in Buea town. They were still killed like those 10 young people in Bakori town. They were still killed like Mautu 2, where 13 people were killed. They were still killed like those young people in Pinyen, where 29 people were killed. Yes, like in Monjenge, 18, Ikata, 8, Barombi, 14, Bali, 25, Ngabu, 31. Bekora, 14, Kwakwa, 30, Kumba, 7. And then Mautu, 3rd, 10 were killed. If the Cameroon Republic has killed this number of people, young people inclusive, they will still kill again. We have to protect ourselves and our communities. Most especially, we have to take the protection of ourselves seriously. When we protect ourselves, we win this war. And thank you all. Thank you today. We give a shout out to those who are watching with us. We have Eman Mo, we have Tilia Aldin, we have Lazarus Mbika, you are watching with us. We will go ahead to bring you this confirmation hearing of the lady that will soon be the United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Thomas Greenfield. You will hear during her confirmation hearing how she talks about Africa. She talks a lot about Africa. She talks about her strong relationship across the African continent and how she is so concerned about the influence of the Chinese in Africa, how America, the United States, and this present government under President Biden are so concerned about Africa. And we infer that if these persons in positions of responsibility in the United States government are talking about Africa, then they probably have heard about what the Cameroon Republic is doing in Ambazonia, and it is good for us. Those Ambazonians who are fighting this war on Twitter, these are the people you should go after. Visit their Twitter feed, send them images of what is going on in Ambazonia, send them messages. Those Ambazonians who are living in the United States of America, give them a call and talk to them, because like we know in the United States of America, people who are in position of leadership always listen to their population. And as you listen to part of this confirmation hearing, also take note again of this senator. I think I've brought him, Senator Chris Cohen. He has said he has a special interest for Africa. So let us listen to Ambassador Thomas Greenfield, soon to be United States Ambassador to the United Nations. Listen to her.
Time that I spent on the continent of Africa was spent making the case to African countries about why they should partner on economic growth with the United States. As for the speech that I gave at Savannah State University, which is the oldest historical black college and university in Georgia, and it has a goal of encouraging young people, particularly young black and brown Americans who are underrepresented in our foreign service, to pursue careers and spread American values across the world. So I accepted that speech at a request from the university with the idea in mind that this would give me another opportunity to engage with young people. And part of my visit there was to engage with young people there to encourage them on foreign affairs careers. Truthfully, I wish I had not accepted the specific invitations. And I came away from the experience, frankly, alarmed at the way the Confucius Institute were engaging with the black community in Georgia. It reminded me of what I'd seen in Africa, the Chinese government going after those in need with fewer resources. I gave the speech as a speech on Africa, as a way of recommending to Africans how they can address their challenges with China. And Senator, if I'm confirmed, I commit to working with this committee to counter China at the UN, to fight against all efforts by the Chinese government to add harmful language to the UN resolutions, and to resist China's efforts to overfill key UN positions with Chinese citizens. I also want to note that I have a very strong relationship across the African continent that I hope I can use to work closely with leaders to push back on China's self-interested and parasitic development goals in Africa. And I will urge those leaders to support American. It's not worked for Africans, and it has not worked in the same way that the Chinese would have expected it to work. I have seen over the 35 years of my career an increased amount of activity by the Chinese. But where they have failed, and we constantly see reports that indicate this, is that Africans still prefer, if at all possible, to work with the United States. And we need to take advantage of that sentiment and be more proactive in our engagements on the African continent. When they have a choice, they choose us. Right now,
a lot of UN funding is dedicated to peacekeeping. We have both visited with and seen peacekeeping missions from Liberia to Sudan, across the continent and around the world. Some of them have been incredibly essential and well run. Some of them have been profoundly flawed. I look forward, as a member of the Appropriations Subcommittee that funds our work around the world, to working with you on that reform. I'm concerned about a spike in violence in Darfur and Sudan seeming to head in the wrong direction after UNAMID, the peacekeeping mission, was drawn down. Is that also a topic of concern to you? Could you briefly speak to the path forward in peacekeeping?
It is absolutely a concern for us. The UN's responsibility is to provide protection, and hopefully the new UN force presence will help to address the issues in Darfur, but it's something that I will be looking very closely at.
Senator Romney mentioned, and I couldn't agree more, that the United States and China are engaged in a significant strategic competition, not just across the continent of Africa, but across the entire developing world. And as you said, we have both sat with African leaders. My first such conversation was, in fact, in Liberia, where they've expressed a desire to work with the United States, but we're not offering the financing, the terms, the engagement that China is. I worked hard to get the Development Finance Corporation stood up and authorized. It's just finished its first year of operation. Do you view the DFC as a powerful new tool that allows the United States to deliver private sector financing with U.S. government partnership in the developing world that can compete with the debt trap diplomacy China is offering, by offering financing on more transparent terms that are more sustainable?
Yes, thank you, Dale. You see, most of the confirmation hearings in the U.S. Senate have been centered around Africa. And if you have listened to this short episode we've played, you see that they are talking a lot about Africa. And if they are talking about Africa, they are talking on the conflict, and we have a genocide going on in Ambazonia now. So we Ambazonians should know that there is somebody somewhere presently looking at what is happening. This is not like the old administration that had a blind eye on what was happening in Ambazonia, or what is happening in Ambazonia. We remember when the old administration was out of the White House, they only said something about the Muslims that were facing a genocide in China, but they did not say anything about Africa. This time around, we are pleased as Ambazonians to know that the new people that are taking up leadership in the United States of America, the new leadership in the White House, knows something about Africa, and they have specifically talked about the situation in the southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. And with that, we come to the end of our show today. We want to see if there is anybody with any question for us to address on our comment page. We have Talia Adin. He says, asks, how did they kill our people in Mautu with the power tussle in Fako? Where were the restoration forces of Fako? We hope that is taken note of, and the people who are in charge of Fako will address that so that we should not have such killings again. Talia, you see, La Republic, pack and leave, it is our land. When we fully implement the draft, remember I've just said, the draft period has not been officially closed, and we are still waiting for that action that the draft 2020 was supposed to carry out. When it does comes, I bet you the Cameroon Republic will pack out of Ambazonia. We have Ceramon Acha, you are watching with us. John Kemke, you are watching with us. Mazo Mentor, you are watching with us. Remember, when you watch with us, there are some people who will not watch with us now. You have to share it with them, because each time we come up every weekend, we bring you something new that changes behavior, that teaches us something, like what we have now. In the United States government, we have 3 persons that Ambazonians can go after. Send them a tweet, send them a text message, send them an email. Like on the screen there, you have the senator from Delaware. He has a special concern for Africa, and he will have a special concern if we send him images, if we send him all these uncalled for killings of Ambazonians in Ambazonia by the Cameroon Republic. We go ahead to end our show now, and as we promised, let us enjoy music from this our sister from Mogamo. Music, the language of the few, understood by everybody.
Mogamo